Everything looks proper.
Maybe better? Not hearing it? Okay, cool.
You're
Nice.
still clear as a bell here.
Yeah, I'm good. Fuck it. Well, yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I wanted to wait till I had shit really going smoothly before I start interviewing like really heavier people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I interviewed some heavy cats already in my first season.
Yeah, I saw you. Yeah, you got some cool shit going, man. What? How many episodes have you done?
The first season, because we started in September of last year, and I think we did like 15.
Okay,
And so
cool.
this season already, the second one drops for this season tomorrow. And that's Robert LaRoche. You may be familiar. He's from Austin area, or he's been in the Austin
Mm-hmm.
area. Well, he had the group The Size way back in the 80s and 90s. The Size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that dude. He's real big with Patricia Vaughn. He tours with Patricia Vaughn a lot.
Oh, yeah. Someone just shared some with me. I think she played this place Regal Room up here recently.
Yeah, they're getting ready to play the Continental Club during South by Southwest. Um,
Have you been? Do you come up here much for shows or anything? Or
I haven't been in forever. Um, where are you at? First off, let me just do this officially here. Welcome to Green Chili Cheese Man, Mr. Christopher Wright, aka
oh my God, you're dropping my real name. Jeez.
aka Skunk Manhattan.
I remember a girl who used to love me, a perfect storm of sweet and mean. Well, I ain't never, ever, ever seen such a girl.
Today on the show, Skunk Manhattan arrives with a snowy background, runs through a litany of names, and fakes me out before we even start. We talk the state of film, and then the real story begins. Skunk's heading to Europe this weekend for a Battle of the Band's final showdown. He grew up like Conan was his dad, with a history buff father and a cardiac nurse mother who vetoed naming him after the American Civil War. His granddad designed military installations in the Philippines, then blew him away later in life when he picked up a harmonica out of the blue. Guns N' Roses changed his life. He was held a history hostage as a kid. I shout out to my third grade teacher, Miss Rosenbloom, and we talk intimate concerts, my guitar Lorelei, and Skunk breaks down my bizarre self-taught music brain. We hit Sinatra, Rush, Kimberly Freeman, Jason, and rap with his new music mixed in real time by the one and only Sylvia Massey. Yeah, Led Zeppelin Sylvia Massey. This one's wild. Let's get to it.
Cali chick from all the cannons, a whiskey swiller that'll smoke you out. Well, I ain't never, ever, ever seen such a girl like that.
You never use your real name, but you have a Facebook profile. That's kind of
I do have it. Yeah, I mean, usually for like I day job, sort of like teaching music. I've been doing that for over 20 years now, and
yeah.
like that, so people. It's funny because when I was younger, my parents' first name is Christopher, but then they started calling me by my middle name. So people who know me from way back, they know me by a whole different name. And then Chris is like anything in the teaching circles usually, but then like anything in the professional music, band world, obviously Skunk Manhattat.
Right. We can. Where are you at? Well, I see all this snow behind you. You got to be on the East Coast somewhere.
Oh yeah, man. That's is no, I'm right here in Texas, man. Just enjoying this crazy Texas winter.
Is that a
No, this is
background?
yeah. This is.
You
I didn't want to.
man, I thought like
Yeah.
I'm in the Alps.
Yeah, this is total bullshit. Yeah.
I'm in the Alps. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean,
my backyard.
I just flew up to Aspen for the next couple days.
Too funny, brother. So yeah, man. I have a couple sponsors. I have a sponsor for my podcast, and I'm gonna try and get them to do a couple of flights and That's all I need, dude. Just do some flights for me and get some hotels, you know?
Dude, where are you at? Oh, you're in New Mexico now, right?
I'm in Albuquerque,
Is
yeah.
that, yeah, okay. Yeah. The ABQ, man. What took you out there? And now I'm interviewing you. This is what I do.
The film.
I'm going to stop asking questions.
Film interview, film did.
Oh, yeah. Okay, interesting.
The
Yeah.
tax incentives, you know, everyone's, I'm sure you're in Austin, you've heard about, they're passing new tax incentives for the film industry and it's coming back and da-da-da. It's all bullshit, dude. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I mean, I know there's stuff in Austin. I know Louisiana and Atlanta seem to be hot spots.
You see, the problem is that Texas will never, until they do this, they'll never be able to help people like us. I came to here in New Mexico because you don't have to be a millionaire to get a tax break here. If you spend $1,000, you're going to get a tax break. If film, it doesn't matter how much you spend. And the thing in Texas, the reason it's only geared toward high productions is because there's no infrastructure, bro. There's no infrastructure at the bottom. I can go right now and go downtown and sign up for a class to become a PA. I can go and sign up for a class to be, and for free. You know what I'm saying? They teach you how to do these things, how to be in the film industry, all the positions. And then you work in the film industry. And so until Texas has that, they're never going to be helping low tier, middle tier. Unless you're spending $1 million or more, you're out of luck. You know? But
yeah, interesting.
That's the way it works here. And so, anyways, let's get started with this again. Okay, let me take a drink.
Yeah. Oh, is this the real start now?
This is the real start. Welcome to Green Chili Cheese Man. I'll use the beginning from the other one. I'll edit it. So, you know the premise of the show, and so let me start out this and ask you, tell me about your parents and the house that you grew up in, and if you remember your grandparents.
Yeah, I do, man. So when you said Christopher,
Sorry, Chris.
I mean, here's a little nugget for you. So my dad is, fortunately, I'm very fortunate that both my parents are still here, and through, you know, like many families, you know, you have tumultuous times and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're family, and we actually, I think, are all in a really good place, my brother included. So it's actually a really cool thing right now. We're sort of, my brother and I have kind of, I guess you could just call it, kind of connected with our dad in a different way, you know, later in life, and then try to do some family type vacations. Like we hope, we may be going to Europe this summer. I'm not sure. I've never been to mainland Europe, man.
Oh,
I've
wow.
only been to England. We actually won the first Good Rogering won the initial round here in Austin of Battle of the Bands for competing for Wacken. So we're doing that final here coming up soon in March. I'm not sure when this will air, but that's March 15th, and come and take it live with this venue we love up here in Austin. And then, in the winter that goes to San Diego and competes to actually play that stage. Now that would be
Pretty
a dream
epic.
come true. I mean, of course, that'd be phenomenal.
Epic.
But either way, you know, so I mean, in a perfect world, I'll be going to Europe to play Wacken and do a little vacation. But where I was going with that was like my dad is actually a historian, and he was a history professor for many years.
Wow.
And yeah, man. So he is a huge military history guy. He knows everything. And huge Civil War buff. So we actually, my initials actually, like I was saying earlier, Christopher is my first name. Aaron is my second name, which I went by when I was a kid. You know, up through like high school, I guess. And then I started like going by Chris, and Skunk came around, whatever. But he actually wanted my initials to be Aaron Christopher Wright for, this is how much of a nerd historian, American Civil War. And that's what my dad. And my mom put her foot down and around, like, but yeah. So in a weird way, I mean, I don't know. That's where I come. So we did. So my dad's best friend who we're still all. It's kind of funny because we're me and my brother and my dad. We went to Gettysburg and Antietam and Harper's Ferry and Mount Vernon last year, and it was
My
phenomenal.
goodness.
A couple years ago, it was awesome, man. It was. I mean, I've been to Gettysburg a few times. When I was a kid, we didn't really do much traveling, but my dad's best friend. We're all going to a battlefield in April, actually. Again, kind of reconnecting after all these years. But way back, this little wee little lad in the '80s, they built a freaking cannon, man, and we would go around. They would haul us around to Civil War reenactments. So, yeah, I kind of think I have a pretty unique experience there. Now, we didn't really care for it. We were just kids in this really unpleasant hot weather and, whatever. And
My goodness.
we would just, pyromaniac, building fires and, playing fake, guns with sticks in the woods and stuff like that. But definitely had some interesting experience there. My mom was an RN for years and years. And then she actually she's a cardiac specialist. She got into teaching and traveling around the country doing that. And it was kind of a fluke that in that way. So yeah, I mean, that's where it came from. My grandparents were all, I know on my mom's side, I think they immigrated over here. I think they came here pre-Nazi nonsense. And the early 1900s.
Oh, because Wright is German,
Germany,
huh?
and then
Yeah.
that Grauman was was her side, and then my dad's side, which I never knew my actual real biological grandfather. There's like none of us know what happened. It's weird.
Yeah.
But something went down, and so my dad lost his dad my grandmother left him when they were real young. So I had like a step grandfather. But they didn't have a great relationship at all. He was It's cool though because I didn't really have a relationship with my dad's side of the family. Now my grandma I was always super close with on my dad's side, but my step grandfather was actually a carpenter, and he actually and an architect, I guess, and I think he actually designed and had a hand in some of the military facilities in the Philippines,
Whoa.
U.S. based. Because it's like I know my dad I always thought he was stationed over there at some point. I know he was in Vietnam in the Air Force, but when he was a kid, I guess he lived in the Philippines. And so it's interesting because he also has like some really interesting souvenirs that he found in caves and stuff from like World War II when he was over on those islands and stuff. The timeline's a little off, but in later years, I've kind of started like talking to my dad and actually interviewing my dad in a sense that just sort of like get a little of that history.
It's important.
Yeah, man. So that's, and then on my mom's side, my grandparents, they're just very American success story, man. They immigrated over here. My grandfather had nothing. He was like, I think one of like 10 kids the old classic 10 kids living in a shack sort of thing, started his own business, self-made millionaire and all that. And I mean, they've since he passed away in 2005 and my grandmother passed away, it's been several years now as well. But yeah, and they had a nice plot of land and everything. And, near Schulenburg, Texas. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. So actually, I was born in San Antonio, and then we moved to Hallettsville, where all my mom's family was. So I was like super small town. We had nothing. Like we used to walk. My mom would walk us to school, and then she would walk to the hospital. And then a few years. So that's where. And I actually had Catholic school for the first few years of schooling when we were there. And then we moved to College Station because my dad got a job with A&M. And so that's kind of where I went to most of my schooling in high school and all that. And then after that, I moved back to San Antonio. And that's where I started playing guitar in high school when I was in College Station, got super into metal. And, like Guns N' Roses changed my life. And we grew up very much like my parents were pretty like, it was the 80s. It was that whole absurd Tipper Gore era of, censorship and and then you got everyone from Two Live Crew to John Denver and Frank Zappa, battling Congress over the parental advisory stuff back then, which just helped album sales and helped, when they think those kind of genres and rap and metal and stuff like that. But it's so funny because nowadays we listen to stuff like Ozzy and iconic, legendary stuff and Iron Maiden and Metallica, and these are just classics like Led Zeppelin or anything else, right?
Yep.
They're just classic rock. It's just great classic music. But back then, oh my God, every time someone killed themselves, it's some heavy metal bands called. We all got to
with the court,
right? And satanic, Satan. So my parents, my dad particularly, I found out like a little bit after the fact, like when I was a teenager, and I found out what the hell, like my dad had this amazing classic rock collection, and he would just say things nonchalantly like, "Oh yeah, I saw the Doors in concert." I'm like, dude, what? Because by the time, like when I was a kid, like we listened to, like we had a handful of like classic rock tapes that we listened to like on the family trips, like going to these reenactments or whatever, kind of stuff. And like the Doors and Elton John and Fleetwood Mac and Beatles, Sgt. Pepper. So I had there was like a handful of really great stuff, right? But my dad really didn't he listened to a lot of soundtrack and classical music. So I had just enough to kind of get a little of that rock in my bones as a kid. But we really there was no MTV, there was none of that hip hop culture stuff that was happening in the 80s. Like we were just completely out of the loop on that. We were at Civil War battlefields and playing historical complex board games with my dad when I was like 8 years old. I had no concept of pop culture or anything, so I didn't even know about any of the cool stuff that was happening in the 80s until I got in high school, like in the 90s.
Hold on here. Let me stop you here, brother. Let's unpack a little bit. Man, you are a talker, my friend.
I'm just going off now.
So your dad, let's go back to your dad here. Does he listen to podcasts? Does he listen to Conan O'Brien by any chance?
I'm a huge Conan fan. I don't think my dad's a real podcast guy. No, he's the kind of guy that, I'm also real cynical because he just grew up talking to the TV with, the news. It's always the news, everything negative, and I've always hated the news, and I've always seen it as just a bunch of hate, propaganda and division. And I grew up with that crap. So now when we're like in this like really tumultuous time, it's just like
I don't want to hear any of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Conan, just like your dad. That's exactly what he did to his kids, his wife, his freaking. I think on their honeymoon, he took them to like Antietam or something. It was something.
Dude, I love that about Conan. My brother and I, by the way, it's hard to find. I'll have to share this link with you. We submitted this to Conan O'Brien years ago because he had a contest that, and I know he's a history buff.
Oh, big time.
He had a contest about something about show us how you wake up in the morning. So me and my brother did this we borrowed old stuff from our dad. Yeah. So like when my mom would like sew us, like remember jams in the 80s, dude? Jams. So she would buy materials and like sew us like jams and stuff like that. But also she like made us all these like outfits for Civil War for the reenactments, like authentic clothing and all that. And now I lost my train of thought.
You're talking about Conan O'Brien.
Oh yeah. So we borrowed some of this stuff, and then we did a video called "Waking Up to like Goober Peas," right? Goober peas or peanut. And there's a famous song, "Goober Peas," from the Civil War times, right? It's probably an old folk song before that, but it was popular in the Civil War.
Okay.
And Johnny Cash did a cover. It's one of these silly things that people like my brother and I, and maybe not a lot of people would know, right? And so we did this ridiculous thing where we woke up and sat in front of a fake fire, kind of like my fake, Aspen background or whatever. And played Goober Peas. It's pretty awesome, dude. Like, I'll have to send you the link to that. But
that's hilarious. You never heard back?
No, man. I was disappointed, But yeah, I've always been a huge Conan O'Brien fan, like because he's honest and true and fearless, and I think he's a true artist and comic. It's like I get the safe Jay Leno, Jimmy Fallon stuff. I understand that I get that, but that's not me. That's not for me, right?
No.
I like the guys like Conan who are more edgy and just, yeah, man. There's so many freaking podcasts, dude. I've listened to some here and there, but it's just like it's overwhelming after a while. I don't think my dad's ever really made the podcast shift.
He would appreciate
maybe
Conan.
He listens to some political stuff. Who knows?
What was school like for you? First off. What was school like for you
I hated it.
Hit me.
I hated school. So I realized more in my adult life. And actually, an ex of mine, 10-ish years ago or something, called to my attention my sort of AD. Now, of course, nowadays everyone has ADHD and is autistic, and we all have everything, right? But I mean, there are certain things that I've really sort of opened up about some things recently in my life that have just. We got a song actually, just track for this the other day. We were working on the new album among EP. We got a lot of different things going on, and there's one song called OCD, right? Because I've got some pretty bad OCD. But it's gonna be an awesome song, and we got an idea for the video. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. It's a different vibe. It's Tim Driscoll, who's in the band from Rune Scarred, great guitar player, musician, wrote the music for it. It was actually a collaboration with another drummer over COVID, and it was sitting, and he had this awesome song. So one day I just sat and wrote lyrics to it, and then so that's going to be on the next album. But the 80. But where I'm going with all this is like I realized, things that I heard after the fact. It was very had a really hard time focusing and paying attention. So I just wasn't a good student, and apparently I'd get up and roam around. I remember getting reprimanded by a nun for reenacting war scenarios. I grew up in a bunch of war movies. You know what I mean? Like Platoon, Zulu, and stuff like this. So it's man, I was kind of in my own little world maybe. And I got along okay and I did okay, but I think I held the world record for most tardies in high school. Barely squeaked by. I just, got kicked out of the sport. I was going to play baseball in high school, and they wouldn't let me on the team because I had long hair. That's what College Station was like back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, fine, screw you. I'm not cutting my hair, because that's right when I had started playing guitar, when I got into freshman in high school. And that was at that point is I think is when my identity really started coming through of oh, okay, he's the musician guitar guy. You know what I mean?
What's funny is I was the same way. And my elementary school teacher, who was the hottest freaking, I remember, she was super young, of course. She actually contacted me in my now life and reconnected with me. And
wow.
She sent me, she was like, I'm so proud of you, all this. I knew you were going to do something special and da-da-da-da. And so she sent me, which I don't have a class picture of, I think it was third grade. And it was her class picture of us.
Wow.
And she said, I knew you were going to be something special because after I saw this picture. And everybody's facing forward, and I'm on the top part of the stands, and my head is completely cocked to the left, dude. I'm looking straight to the left. Totally not looking, and that's the picture that they took. And and she's like, I knew you were going to do something special because of that picture.
All right, obviously this guy is,
he's in his own world.
Not following the herd.
And so when later in life, like you, I got through school, really good in history, really good in English.
Same. Those are my subjects. Yeah.
Math,
no, not at all.
Math I can do now. It's crazy. Anyways, but I went to
because music is the math language, and I love music. It's my favorite thing ever. But it's
crazy.
You put me in an algebra class for geometry, and I was like, well, why don't I just sign up for summer school now?
Yeah, just let me leave now, and I'll just come back. Yeah. So a doctor tried to put me on, I think it was Lexapro or something.
I just remember Ritalin from back in the day. That was the only thing. It was Ritalin, remember?
Well, that was to speed you up, wasn't it? Ritalin to speed you up or slow you down?
Hyper kids, right?
Yeah. So this shit slowed me down so much that I was like a zombie, and I was like, no, I'm not taking this. And
I've really tried to avoid medication. I mean, there's certain medicines I take, I have to, but
yeah, same.
In terms of all that kind of stuff, because especially man with there's just so many things that you see in connection with. Now I'm not one that's I'm not gonna be like Tom Cruise back in the day and saying nobody should, it's all hoax or whatever remember that whole thing.
Yes.
And Prozac and all that, because there was a time in my life when I came back from LA and I was so bad. I mean I ran the gamut on all that stuff, and then I did get on Prozac and saw a counselor and all that, and it got me back to where I could even function and got a job and started getting my things back together, and then I moved to Austin, and that's kind of where I picked back up again. But it was a kind of a slow process. So I mean, I understand there's a place for those things, and
Yeah.
I hate to say a need, but I think it should be a last resort. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's really that's the I don't want to go too political here, but obviously the big pharmaceutical industry and the kickbacks and the big $1 billion industry. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm really skeptical about all that crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you just trying to give me a vaccine and a pill because you get a kickback from it? Well, and it's an easy, like, here, do this.
Well, they're all Band-Aids,
Or
dude. They're all
is this
Band-Aids.
exactly. Or is this actually the best thing? And we all know what we really need. Better get exercise, get sunlight. I mean, it's not complicated,
Nope,
right?
it's not.
But in the modern world, it's like.
So for me here in New Mexico, it's I self-medicate, and that's all I need. I smoke.
I
a
will
little,
say that
smoke a little.
you got a beautiful man. A recent place I had never been. I haven't had much success in none in New Mexico and Albuquerque with a good rogering with rock. I didn't even try to book it this last run, but I have played there with the Invincible Czars at the Guild Theater. I remember telling you about that, and that was cool. In Albuquerque, there's some really beautiful scenery around there. Oh, one thing we did though was a couple years back we played Flagstaff. Holy cow, dude! Have you been to Flagstaff?
No.
I had no idea. That's like Colorado. It's like a mountain town. It's unbelievable.
Really?
It's like the background, my fake background is like Flagstaff. It's just incredible. Yeah, really, really gorgeous. Northern Arizona. I actually love that whole area. I don't know if I want to live in the desert climate necessarily. But I love the mountains and it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, when I was in the military, I was stationed at Fort Carson, and that's actually I went to Europe first. So I was in Germany for 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say you were over there for 10 years, but were you in Germany the whole time?
I was in Germany for 5, came back. I went to retrain to a different job and was stationed at Fort Carson, and then went back to Germany after a year in Fort Carson, which was all preparation for the war.
What branch of the military were you?
I was in the Army, and so my first stint, I was in NBC. I was a nuclear, biological, chemical warfare specialist. Yeah,
wow, dude.
And guess what had a lot of that? Guess what was a lot of that? Math. Fucking math, dude.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Vectors, wind vectors,
I probably would have gone into the military, man. My dad, my uncles, my most, so many people in my family served, and of course, the second you turn 18, they're on like shit on flies. And
I loved it, dude. I knew I was going. In high school, I took 2 years of German because I knew I willed myself to go to Germany.
I really regret I had a buddy that I used to play music with. Actually, he's the harmonica player. He's passed away, unfortunately, young. But the harmonica player on our song "Born to Follow" on our first album, he lived in Japan for a while, and I just really regret not going over there. My uncle, who was in the military for a whole career, 30 plus 40, I don't know how long. Now he's retired and outside of San Antonio, but he was in, was it Stuttgart, I think?
Sure.
Is that the name of the?
Stuttgart.
He was over there. So yeah, I really regret not making, I think you look back on life sometimes and go, just take the chances, just go, just do it,
well,
whatever. Take a week off work, your band will so nowadays I'm much more inclined to go like, you know what, that's why I'm like, just doing certain things. It's like never gonna have this opportunity. Just do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I tell you what, dude, it was life changing. Being a metalhead. Hello, I went to 3 Monsters of Rocks.
Oh, dude, I know, man. Like
3 months. Like, I was literally in the front, literally against the pole, the bars, in front of 100,000 people behind me, dude.
It's amazing, dude.
I got to see in one show.
What years were those? Was that not like the 90s? Or?
The 80s. 80. I got 80s, one of the show was Scorpions, Ozzy Osbourne, Def Leppard, Cinderella, and Great White, and just like 7, 8 top bands. And then when they went to England, Scorpions and Ozzy. And then when they went to England, they switched headlining.
Man, I saw the Scorpions for the first time a few years back in Vegas doing a residency. Holy cow, they were fantastic. It was awesome. It was really great, man.
What you saw was a shell of what we got in the 80s, bro.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. I saw and a 2-day festival. In fact, I was just talking with somebody about this in one of my last interviews. Um, Tina Turner, Gary Moore. God, it was a 2-day festival, dude. But Tina Turner was the headline. I got to see Tina Turner in when she was at the very top, dude. At the very top of her career.
We're talking about Thunderdome, Tina Turner.
Yeah. I'm your private dancer. That one, you know. That's I got that Tina Turner, dude. And
that's awesome, dude.
And on the small scale, in Germany, me and my buddy Jimmy went and saw John Mayall in an intimate little fucking club, maybe 60 people, dude. And that's
cool too, man.
Amazing.
That could be. I had a fluke like that one night where I saw Billy Gibbons playing at the gallery of the Continental Club. There was probably maybe 50 people in there, dude.
That's cool.
And I'm sitting, 10 feet away from Billy Gibbons. He just hopped on stage with the house band, and who were great, and just started playing a couple tunes, and you're just like, wow, okay.
Exactly. Except they're from Germany, dude. We saw the crap out of them, dude.
Yeah, they're still.
I just played Fast as a Shark this morning, and that post that I told you about, that's one of the songs that I played. I went through a whole metal thing this morning in prep for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, dude. I've only been playing guitar for like 6 years, dude, and this year I'm like doing all that shit.
I actually went to our messenger chat for the link, and I was like, you had sent me some post that I totally missed or forgot to respond to. I don't even remember when it was. I just saw back there was a post with you had sent me a picture of a guitar. So I don't know how long ago this was.
Was it red?
I remember you telling me you were starting to play guitar. It's been 6 years.
Was it red?
Yeah.
That's my baby. That's Lorelei.
That's crazy, dude.
So check this out, man. I had a Strat, a real Strat, and I couldn't play it, dude. It didn't sound right to me. I didn't know what I was doing. But now I know that the spacing between the strings and the fret was too high. It was way too high. So
yeah, you just need your action adjusted, or it was.
This is a Guitar Center Rogue Rocketeer. I was like, let me just get another guitar and see what's up. And I liked it. I liked the feel, everything. It just didn't sound right. And again, I don't know what I'm doing, okay? So I'm like, you know what? Let me look it up. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just switch out this. So I went and took out their 250 pots and put 500 pots in there. Again, not knowing any of this, I wired it myself. I did all that shit. And it's a beast, dude. It's a beast. Nice. It's I can do anything from Jim Croce to, like I was doing Accept today. Nice. It's beautiful. And it's probably I can't wait to graduate to a bigger guitar, but this one right here is the one that's, I don't know, dude. I don't even know how to explain it. And playing all these songs that I've known for 30, 40 years, like Dreamer Deceiver that I just started playing last week from Judas Priest. Mm-hmm. Dude, I play rhythm guitar. I don't play lead. I play rhythm, and it's like this feeling that comes over you, dude. It's so crazy. You know what I'm saying, because you play all the time.
I totally do, and it's interesting because there's moments where you kind of reach that point of zen or something, right?
It's like I know every break. I know where the chord changes are. I didn't know what the chords were. You know what I'm saying? So now I can look at the music, and now I know it by memory. But I could go to guitar tabs and follow the fucking chords, and learn the chords, and the breaks were the way they do it. I do it, and because I know the song, it's ingrained in my brain. Mm-hmm. But now, and my hands and both my hands are now reacting.
You get a whole different perspective and just appreciation, I think, of music. Of all kinds, in general, all kinds, because I do everything from, I'm hugely inspired by everything from jazz to metal to classical to even some hip hop and whatever, right? So it's like they all kind of have their place and they all hit different at different times, and I think it's like they can be lifting and empowering, but I think there are certain times, particularly when you're playing complex. I've actually equated to, like, if I successfully, which is not often, can get through a Bach piece or a Mozart piece.
Oh, yeah, that's complex.
Without completely train wrecking it. It's like a religious
It
experience. I'm just like,
really is. It really is.
there's something I think that really good musicians too understand about the basics and the fundamentals. It's actually really interesting that leads to all this unbelievable complexity in the math of it all, which is kind
Hmm.
of fascinating. But like, yeah, it. I think you really, when you're able to connect with that deepness in a weird way, the fundamentals of it, that's what really lets the rest of it come through. But
Dude,
yeah, I mean, this is
tears.
what I've been doing for years and years and teaching and all this kind of stuff. So it's like I talk about this stuff all the time, and it's exciting. It's a topic for me, and in my best, I always try to be positive with students and really like try to realize like you're learning a language. This is like a beautiful thing. This is not just like, oh, I'm learning my favorite. Sure, you can learn the chords of your favorite song, but like this is a lifetime part of you that you get to express and connect with music in an even deeper way. And I think that's just such an awesome binding thing of through most of I think humanity, which is we don't get a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to everything. I grew up, like saying, my mom was a Bobby Soxer dude, so I listen to everything. Frank Sinatra to Frank Zappa, dude. Engelbert
Yeah,
Humperdinck,
hell yeah,
Andy Williams, all those cats, dude. All that is in me. All of that
all of
music
it.
is in me. I took my mom, and my mom and I didn't really get along, but I took my mom to Frank Sinatra's final concert tour, dude.
Wow.
She had never seen him, and it was lifelong. She was a Bobby Soxer when she was a kid, just.
Wow. Where
Um,
was that like in Vegas or
it
something?
was in San Antonio. Frank on his
Really?
last tour, yeah.
Was that like when would this have
It
been? Like in the
had to have
80s?
been in. It was 80.
Yeah.
I was still in high school. 82.
I remember the old like SNLs. They would parody. I think it was Phil Hartman would do a Frank Sinatra
Yeah.
impersonation. So I know he must have still been around. I guess he passed away in maybe the 90s somewhere, or maybe early 2000s, something like that.
Yeah, something. It's
But I know
it's
he
90,
was still around, obviously in the early
90s.
90s. But yeah,
Now we've gone off the rails on this one.
I mean,
Um,
this is what happened. Podcast, right? You,
yeah. The man, I don't even remember what we're talking about anymore. Okay, so let's check to the next question. We'll go off again in a minute. Um, who were your early musical heroes? Like the ones where the framed you.
Well, like I was saying, like so it was actually really interesting too. When this is kind of weird, but I guess I've had a few students like this that started and then actually, I said, well, rent something or let's do a few lessons, and then if it's work, you can buy something, and I can recommend things obviously for newer students and stuff. But like when I was a kid, my mom, like when we were in Hallettsville, I think had even tried to like. I think I did like a piano lesson or a handful, but we didn't have a piano, so it's kind of weird. But when my grandparents had a piano, it was never really all super in tune. It was, but my grandpa, he would just poke around on it, didn't know anything about music, but kind of had a little bit of an ear and could just poke around and figure things out. And way later in life, um, probably his last year that he was here, I'd always heard about him playing harmonica and had never seen it.
Hmm.
And came across a harmonica in like an old drawer at my grandparents' house, and my grandfather just got on this thing and freaking blew our minds. And he used to play my grandma's favorite song was "You Are My Sunshine." He
Hmm.
would play that, and he just picked this harmonica up and just like killed it. And we were just like, dude, what?
After 30 years or
Like it
something.
was like this. And my dad like played. Funny enough, my dad played clarinet when he was a kid, but then
Oh.
he got injured and he wasn't able to continue. And so my first instrument, well, the piano, whatever. And then when I was in like junior high, got into band. I mean, in hindsight, I hadn't started playing guitar yet. I hadn't gotten into rock and metal. I didn't know really anything yet, right? Uh, and so for me, it was like, hey, my dad's got a clarinet, and there's a whole bunch of cute girls that play clarinet. So I squeaked and squawked, and to this day, my ears, I cannot stand the sound of squawky woodwinds. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I'm just like, oh, it is so. My ears are so sensitive because it just squawks. So I was last chair. I failed band. I mean, I failed, dude. I think I had got like a 38. I absolutely hated it.
Oh my
I
goodness.
hated it, and so that did not take at all. And then like a year later or something, right, is when I heard, and this is dude, like I come the whole like 1986. So yeah, so we didn't, like I said, no MTV. I didn't really know anything about what's going on. I knew some classic rock bands, very little. My dad listened to classical, so I always have had a classical influence. Like I'm a huge like Beethoven fan and Mozart, all that stuff, man. I love that in piano. It's a big part of my musically what I love. But then I discovered, I mean, my brother's friend, I'll never forget, brought over a cassette tape of Appetite for Destruction. And I remember walking into my brother's room, or we shared a room, and I walked in, they were sitting there listening to it on the boombox. And I was like, I literally said the word, because I mean, you don't know anything, you don't, have any musical experience, you just sort of hear guitar noise, and you're like, oh, metal, right? And I'm like, is that heavy metal? and I'm like, is that satanic heavy metal stuff? Like literally, like, what is this? And I mean, what did I know? Like, I mean, I'm in 7th, 8th grade or something, and listening to. But the funny part is we were listening to everything from like that was the old like MC Hammer, Young MC days. Proud to say I never got into Vanilla. I always thought that was crap. MC Hammer's terrible, by the way, but whatever. It was the big thing at the time. Digital Underground, though, still one of my favorite bands ever. One of the most underrated, most influential hip hop acts ever. Props to Shock G. Love him.
Time out. I think I just saw the nominations. I think they're nominated for induction. Digital Underground.
They should be, absolutely.
I think they just released the nominations.
They broke Tupac too. I mean, yeah, I hope so, man. It's unfortunate. They're one of those bands that are kind of like, I feel like they're just sort of unsung heroes in the hip hop world. You know what I mean? I mean, they're like in the know, sort of, but the younger generations, a lot of people just don't know them. They didn't have the staying power. But holy shit, man! I mean, Sex Packets is a masterpiece, and we've been covering the song "Freaks of the Industry" I've been covering that song for 30 years, probably. Just did it on our last tour, and so we played it in San Antonio last time I was in San Antonio, actually. But yeah, man. So where was that all going?
Your biggest influence. So the one for me that will forever hold, and I just heard it yesterday, and it fucking brought me back. My oldest brother's 8-track cassette on headphones of Rush, A Farewell to Kings.
Grandma had an 8-track.
A Farewell to Kings, Rush. My God.
You know what I started doing last year? So I always was like, yeah, Rush, I get it. I mean, I did see them on their last tour with Neil Peart, and it was awesome. But I was always like, Geddy Lee's voice is a hard thing. It's unique. I'll give him credit. And I've always been interested that Rush is so popular. They are so progressive and so different and so unorthodox, yet so popular. It's really an interesting, they're kind of an interesting phenomenon in themselves. But I finally went back and I was like, I started doing this with different bands. I'd never really listened to The Police, went through their whole catalog, loved it. Really got a big appreciation with The Police and was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now. I had this big Slayer kick where I went and listened to Slayer's whole catalog. And then Rush was another one I had never done, and I went back all the way and started, chronologically.
You went back to the beginning?
It's like, dude, yes, man, those 70s albums kick ass.
Oh my God, the one with the Snow Owl on it?
I'm trying to think, what year did that album come out?
That has to be 71 or 76. I think it was 76.
I'm actually Googling
75. Rush is my number 3 band.
77, yeah.
It's Scorpions, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Rush, number 4 band.
Yeah, you're old school metal, dude. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, Priest, Painkiller. Oh, so for me, like once that Guns N' Roses tape happened, and then I was like started listening, I was like, this is cool, and I dubbed it. Dude, I could not stop. I had a Walkman. I was riding my bike around, listening to that album endlessly. Knew every song. I'd fake sing in the living room. I was obsessed. And so once that happened, that changed my life because then I wanted to play guitar. I mean, we had this like crappy little toy guitar with like 2 strings on it, and I figured out the little the little melody out of mine. That's like the first thing I ever learned. And so and then a year later, and I think at that time I had a little Casio little keyboard. My brother and I, we used to, before that, dude, we would put in little beats and we would rap. You got a prepubescent white boy over here rapping like, holy shit, it's terrible. So I went from that to like a year later being
Sorry,
like
that's loud.
Metallica, you know what I mean?
That's
And then it was the
funny.
old Columbia House, you know,
Oh my gosh.
all the cassette tapes. So I
12
got all the old
cassettes.
Ride the Lightning and you know all the some of that, you know, some of those classics. Skid Row was a huge influence. One of my
Yeah.
favorite bands back then was Skid Row. Slave to the Grind, still one of my favorite albums. But like
You know,
GNR, them, you know, Metallica, all the normal stuff. Ozzy Osbourne, that tribute album. I mean, I learned to play guitar from those albums. I learned to play guitar from Metallica, Ozzy's tribute album. I mean, I just got those guitar books and I just learned like everything, you know. And so that was kind of like where I was in the when I started playing, and that was right at that time. That was like the early '90s, man. Everything was amazing in the mainstream. You had grunge pop, you had metal and rock and Guns N' Roses. I mean, the first concert I ever saw was GNR, Metallica, Faith No More in '92 at the Astrodome. I mean,
ooh, yeah.
unbelievable, man. Those are still three of my favorite bands, you know. Like I said, I'm into all these different genres, but I mean, overall, I'm known as, you know, Good Rogering's a rock metal band. You know, that's kind of my persona mostly.
Yeah.
So
What's crazy
that was the
is
stuff that
metal,
changed my life, though.
metal is my jam, but I can't really write that. I write Americana, dude. The music that I write
Dude, you
is
know,
Americana and country.
yeah, well, it's like me, man. I go through phases where I don't even really play. I mean, I just play piano a bunch.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man. So when I left Germany the first time and I went to a training station in Fort Ben Harrison, Indiana, and I didn't know anybody, and they had a rec room where they had a drum set in a solo room by itself. And so I took my 8-track cassette, not 8-track, my cassette player and Bad Company and learned how to play drums there.
Nice.
I know how to play drums.
Drums are fun.
So that's why I think I'm such a good rhythm guitar. Why I gear towards rhythm guitar because I learned how to play drums first.
Music is music. You can't play rhythm, you can't play, period. Let me tell you this. This whole lead guitar, rhythm guitar thing, you either play guitar or you don't play. Lead means nothing. Like, and I see this mistake with people, and I saw it when I was playing them with friends and other people. Where I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, you know, this guy, oh, someone, Ingve or something," and then you watch some guy go, blah, 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 and not even well, and then you're like, "Let's play Hotel California," and they don't even know a G chord, and you're like, "What the hell?" Like these are the kind of things I experienced when I was younger, trying to form a band and all this stuff, and I was like, "What?" So many people they learn wrong, dude. Like that was the thing. I wasn't trying to learn solos. I just learned
Yeah.
all the riffs, man.
Yeah.
I learned all the riffs and I would play along to the CDs, and that's what made me become a decent musician, you know?
Well, let me
I
tell you
think
this,
like
Teach. Within the
people
last
want to like put the icing on the cake before they build the foundation. You gotta build
exactly
the foundation, dude.
within the
You can't.
last
You don't have rhythm. You suck. I don't care how many scales you know. I don't care what you know. If you can't, that's 50% of music. You suck if you have no rhythm. Period.
within the last 2 weeks when I first started playing Dreamer Deceiver, and you know that's dual guitars, and what I realized after learning that song is what I was doing was like a lead. It was like a lead. The guitar I was playing against him, and him playing against the other guy.
Yeah.
So when I got to a point where I could close my eyes and play it, and I was swaying to the music. And when I opened my eyes, I wasn't swaying to my music. I was playing correctly. I was swaying to his guitar. How crazy is that? I mean, it's all new to me, dude.
That's another thing too. Is like it's very different to play by yourself in your bedroom, and you can get really good. But it's a whole different thing playing with a band or playing with someone. You know, like when you're
Sure.
That's a whole nother thing, right? You've got to be.
And you're back.
Every time I bump this, you got me.
Yep.
Every time like one thing I love doing is like have like an adult class band where I play drums and just like the band leader, and it's just like it's super fun, man, because you're guiding it and you're not just teaching. It's sure, we're learning a song. Sure, we'll talk about, I like to really dive into the song and why is this and this and this is the theory behind this and the blah de blah and all that kind of stuff. But the other aspect you get from that dynamic is how to be in a band and how to
Right.
react to the other musicians and watch the other musicians and understand that this is no matter what, the train keeps going and we're a unit, right? And so it's like it's very different than just sort of playing by yourself.
So when I came back to the States after I got out of the service, And I met Michael and all that, and we ended up. I had bought a house in San Antonio, and he ended up living with me. I bought a drum set, electronic. And when it came in, and I was like, man, let me just do this by myself. Let me get, see if I can remember all this shit. And they're like, fuck that, let's go. And so Mike was teaching Junior how to play bass, and now Junior's a massive bass player. That's what he does. And Mike took lead guitar, and I played drums. And it was pretty good, dude. And I had them playing my shit.
When was this? I guess I never really knew you played drums, actually.
Oh, yeah, it was right at the beginning of our company, dude, in 2008.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I can get on a drum kit right now, probably. I can knock out some Maiden, some Rush, some Pink Floyd.
Well, you know what I love is, too, it's like, if someone was like, I wouldn't play, I mean, I could go play, like, obviously just simple songs, or I wouldn't, like, join a band as a drummer or anything like that, but, like, not to mention I'm just the gear factor. But I do have drum sets, and I have an electric kit, and I love playing, and it's like, it just opens up, that's the thing, right? It's like I always say this, and maybe it's, in the wrong context, it can sound snobby, but it's not intended to be like that. There's people who play instruments, and there's musicians, and when you're a musician and you sort of like, there's a reason why guys can sort of like the princes of the world. Like, it's just like they can play anything, because like the more you do it and you understand, especially starting with like piano and stuff. It's just like a lot of drum students, they're required to take piano first. You build all that coordination, you get your basics from music theory and stuff, and then that translates to other instruments. So when it's like, oh, can you teach this and that? It's like, yeah, cool. Let me pick it up for a few minutes and get my bearings. Yeah, cool. And it's very rare. Like, I think I've maybe had 2 or 3 people in the 20 something years that showed up, and you were just like, holy crap, this person's really good. Oh, I'm okay. But you always have something to offer them. I've never been like, oh, I have nothing to teach you. And that's super rare. Had I known that, I'd have been like, "Oh, dude, I'm going to teach guitar at 16 years old." People, they just don't really know that much, or even people that play. Like, and that's what I love, is to sort of teach the music theory aspect and to sort of look at the inner workings of things. And to me, that's just like, it's so fascinating and fun, and it actually makes music even more enjoyable, right?
What's crazy is I did a screenplay that was a finalist at the Austin Film Festival just last year, and it was on Doug Som's life. And the opening of that screenplay, his mom, this happened for real. His mom took him to Alamo Music downtown San Antonio, and he was like six, dude. Doug Som, 6 years old, already playing guitar. What's it called? Slide guitar. And they took him to the music store to get him a teacher, and they turned him down. They were like, there's nothing we can do for him. He could probably teach us something now. How crazy is that, dude?
That sounds like Dimebag when he used to do those guitar competitions in Dallas, and what I heard was like he would just win, and then finally they were just like, all right, you'll just be a judge because you're just going to win.
You're just going to win all the time, man.
But, maybe that's just folklore, but I think that might be accurate. There's just those...
It goes went from that station to, like, the next day, she took him to freaking the radio station where he played and met fucking Hank Williams Jr., at 6 or 7 years old. Right. So anyways.
That's insane.
Yeah. Wow. That screenplay, I need to get that made, man.
Yeah, I wish I had a story that interesting. Mine's like Civil War reenacting.
We are totally going out the rails, man.
14.
We're way over our time, brother. Okay. Let me skip down here. When was the moment that you realized on stage that your story mattered, that what you were doing freaking mattered? Oh, a teacher too now.
My sort of like cynical or sarcastic or whatever brain wants to say, well, that hasn't happened yet, but that's not true. I think like you have to, one thing about this is you got to be really like, it's interesting. It's a great question actually, because there are times when I feel very defeated. Like, why do I do this? What's the point? It's just a huge money hole. what am I doing? Yeah. No one's listening to this music. Why do I care so much? But I'm such a perfectionist. I'm so OCD that I can't, I have to like, I do want things to sound good, and I do want them to be right, and I want to do my best and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of go back and for me, and I think a lot of artists probably feel this way. You kind of go back and forth of this sort of elated state of like feeling really positive about what you're doing, and then times where you just feel like, what's the point, right? But the little things, I think the little victories are what are actually important. If you get the big ones, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's great. But
you're getting ready to get a big one.
Look at things and say, you know what, I got to be thankful. Like a lot of it's been hard and trying and this and that, but at the same time, I'm blessed in a lot of ways. I've been able to tour. I've been able to put out music. I've been able to play and share that music with other people. And you don't always see it directly, but the impact you have on whether it's students or on people. And sometimes people come and go, and they religiously come to shows for years, and then you never see them again.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will show up after 10 years. I mean, I've been around. We've been doing this for so long. Good Rogering's been around for more than 15 years now. So I've seen all kinds of people come and go, and fans and friends all over the place. And it's I think it's important to just live in the moment and take the small little victories and make those personal connection is worth everything, right? Because if you start looking too much beyond that, it can get, you might set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
So, the moment I would say maybe would be when I started teaching, because I think that's when I really started. That's when I became a professional musician, right? And and I played all kinds of different gigs and that kind of stuff, but. So for me, it would be after when I moved to Austin and really started trying to do my own thing. I had a cover band, and then that led to a gig, or another band and a gig teaching. And so, 20 something years ago is when I think I really started kind of on my path.
Talk about people disappearing. I think you're the one that introduced me. What happened to Kimberly Freeman?
Actually, what's funny is in One Eyed Doll, the whole reason we know each other is because Jason told me about you.
Oh, actually. Shit. Okay.
Because I was asking someone about some press in San Antonio, and he said hit up David at the Examiner or something like that. Because remember when we opened for Steven Adler's Appetite at Clicks, and you came out? I think we did an interview, right?
Yeah.
That night. Yeah. So I think that was early, kind of when we had met, but. Dude, so from what I know, I haven't spoken to them in years. They had moved to, at the time, I think it was Weed, California, with Sylvia Massey, famous producer. But anyway, One Eyed Doll had been living with her, working with her, done an album. They were touring heavily, doing all these things. And then something happened. I think Kimberly's dad passed away, and they just went dark. Last I heard, they live they're between Vermont and Canada, and they're just off the grid. I think they're still making music, but I mean, I could reach out, but they're pretty hard to get a hold of.
I would imagine. Kimberly was so nice to me.
Oh, she's an artist through and through, a born performer.
My gosh.
A sweetheart. I mean, a businesswoman, all of it, and they're great, man. I got them years back. I mean, I was a fan, and I approached them and, facilitated the thing with Tragen guitars. They came to some NAMM shows. So we had some really fun times hanging out, at a few of those NAMM shows and this and that. And Kimberly with, touring with her custom Tragen guitar and all that. And so we were in loose contact for over the years. But yeah, it's been several years, man. I think if they did emerge and did a tour, it'd be super awesome.
Oh my God, her fans!
They've got a big cult following for sure.
Their fans are clamoring for them every day, dude. I'll never forget the show they did. I think also at Clicks, and I was invited as a press, and I was going to interview Kimberly and Jason, and I was backstage with them. I was the only one back there with them. It was kind of weird for me, but then when we came out and they played, Kimberly jumped down off stage, and I had a camera. I was filming it, and dropped to her back on the floor in front of me. And soloed on the floor, dude, on her back, while I'm shooting her,
Well, I think that's it. The first time I saw him too, it was there was a photographer I was hanging out with at the time, and we saw them in she was shooting a show in San Marcos, and we went to see that, and I'm didn't know anything about him, and I just see him playing, and she's running all over the place. At the end, she's down in the crowd, rolling around on the floor. She puts it. There's a trash can. She throws her guitar in the trash can and runs back onto the stage and dives into the drum set. And I'm just like, who the fuck is this fan? This is amazing.
I actually have
a lot of people was an instant fan, and then we got to know him and everything.
I have a pic. God, my freaking good camera. Thank God I have my good camera. But it's right at the apex of her jump over the drums, and Jason holding his arms out to catch her, and it's a perfect picture, dude. Perfectly clear. Yeah, that's my favorite pic of them. Yeah, I want to reach out to them. I'll find them. I'll find her. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Let's see here. What's a creative risk that you have taken that made a difference in the project or the show you were doing or whatever, but you knew it was something that was creative risk that you just, fucking, I'm going to do it?
Fucking everything. Every time I go on tour and lose my ass, going in the studio, like I said, there's no return,
Yeah.
I know I'm not making money on this. It's a labor of love, and if I can give back. But the funny thing is, man, we go and we do these runs, and sometimes you play for furniture, and sometimes you have a good crowd, and you just never know. You never know what you're gonna go through. And we came back, and I really think that we were shocked when we won that Battle of the Bands. I hate Battle of the Bands. We've never won. I hate all that crap, man.
Yeah.
But this is Vakken. I'm like, I'll throw our hat in the ring. We had just come back from a DIY tour. We got to play the Whiskey A Go Go. We played there a few times, and it's awesome. It's an awesome experience.
Right.
We enjoyed that. We opened for Gus G. We opened for him a few times, and so that there was that. There was some stuff, and there's some other just really painful ones, and yeah, man. I mean, everything's a risk. Every time I order merchandise, the whole business is a risk. But I think that comes back to what I was saying earlier, though. It's got to be like, I'm doing this because I love doing it, and when you do meet that one person, that a connection happens, and maybe man, once in a while, like it'll be weird too. I'll be down or whatever, and I'll see a random comment of someone like, "This song changed my life," or "This song got me through this," and you're like, "Wow, shit, okay, I didn't know," So you got to remember, you got to take those small victories. Yeah. And just accept that everything else, it is all a risk.
As a teacher, though, you must get that love from your students, past students, and that's something to me I've taught one person how to play guitar, and then when he lived at the ranch, when I first moved to New Mexico, I worked on a ranch, believe it or not, for 2 years, dude, as a what's it called, work to stay there, I worked to stay there, because I was writing a script. Feeding horses at 4 a.m. in the winter time, the whole thing, dude. And there was another guy there, a young kid. He's probably not even 21 yet, working there. And the off time, I was teaching him how to play guitar. And when we separated and we left, I sent him a guitar, dude, to make sure that he kept playing. And just maybe 3 weeks ago, this is like 5 years ago already. 3 weeks ago, he made a post on Facebook and said something like, to the guy who showed me who Iron Maiden was and who Judas Priest was, I play them now. That's what he said, dude. Thank you. That's got to feel like to you, man, teaching all these kids and adults.
Yeah, it's very gratifying when someone you might not have seen for years or whatever, and they reach out and you taught their daughter when they were a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old. Maybe you taught them for a few months, maybe you taught them for years. And you have no idea the impact you've had. And so I've had people that have gone on to music college that have performed, and that kind of stuff is awesome, man. And then just those little things, you see a little kid light up, or you see someone who's been playing guitar for years those eureka moments are really cool. When you like I said, I feel like and it's since you're sharing a language, a universal language that really is something like eating or drinking or breathing that actually does, I think, connect human beings, and in a beautiful way, right? That you can't express anywhere else. And so, yeah, I mean that's a pretty amazing thing to be able to do, and I got to remember that,
Yeah, be humble about it. Another one is. A cat that I'm getting ready to interview, or it's probably not till next month, Jeff Messick. And when we were working together
Oh yeah.
at a food laboratory. Oh, you know Jeff. We were working together at a food laboratory. And he was doing computers and I was doing accounting, but I was writing my first novel at the time. And he was thinking about writing a novel. And now he's a 2 time, maybe 3 times published novelist. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I gave him that incentive to,
Exactly, man. Sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, you can do it. No, no, you
yeah,
can do this. Like, you got this. Yeah, exactly. We all need that. We all. Some people like to, maybe you're better at faking it than others, but I think it's who doesn't want encouragement,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
or have someone that says, "Nah, man, we're rooting for you. We got you."
So,
That's a cool thing, dude.
is there a moment in your career, your long career, that you wish more people knew about? Something tucked away in the corner of your biography that deserves a spotlight?
That's a good question there. I mean, really, I mean, and honestly, I just wish more people were aware that of the music that we created and the videos that we've done and the message. I'm not going to go into anything specific, but I think like if you really sit down and listen to a good Rogerings music, I've got a few things out and I've played with other bands and all this, but speaking just for a good Rogering, like, a lot of it is, it's kind of a combination, I think, of those like quirky sort of typo negative Faith No More influences
Mm-hmm.
where there's some satirical stuff, um, but there's also like there's deeper subtext for sure, and there's a lot of music that I mean the last album we put out, Systematic Paralysis. Just look at the name, Systematic Paralysis. We wrote that album before all this stuff went down that we've been living through for the last decade. My brother and I wrote most of that music in 2013.
Wow.
And it took that long for it to come to fruition. But those demos that were in existence, and it's just like, well, this comes back to what I said about how I grew up in
Yeah.
a cynical household with a dad watching CNN all day
Right.
and war and I came and kind of gave me a disdain for a lot of these things, and I see now like political divide like we've never seen before, and it's like, it's not a big like it's not a Rage Against the Machine style of
Right.
just like this is obviously a political thing, but the messaging is there, but it's more abstract, and I think you can and I like music and work lyrics like that. Tom Petty's one of my favorite songwriters. He just knows how to tell a story and write a song. I'm not as good at that. Like I'm more about maybe there's more metaphorical lyrics, but if you really, so I wish that would be the thing, right? It's not so much about like, I mean, just seeing our band live because it's a fun show, it's an entertaining show. The biggest compliment we've gotten over the years, time and time and time again, is like, oh, wow, I'm not even really a metal fan. We just saw this band play. We showed up and you guys blew our minds. We're amazing. You're so entertaining, this and that. You remember all the way back, going back to Chef, when people would walk in and see me doing a preacher routine in a
Yep.
preacher outfit, and then Chef, a guy, 6'5" dude in a chef's hat and some boots and an apron, doing a bass solo with a rolling pin, and people are like, "What in God's name is
What is
this?"
going
And
on?
it was awesome, And back then, we had some pretty good shows there for a minute, and then the band now has just been through different iterations and all this, and every album's different because there's different people, there's different influences,
Right.
but I think there is a kind of a common thread there. But yeah, I think if people were, for music fans, for people that like something that, beyond the shallow, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I think a good Rogerings music and lyrics have something to offer. So that would be it, just discovering that, and then the videos we made that complement that,
Okay. Final question. Um, when did you realize the word legacy, and what does that word mean to you now?
Here's a funny thing for you. I don't even really know how I'm going to answer this, but you made me think of. I was having a conversation with a guy from another band. Well, this is RuneScarred actually. And at one point we were having a conversation when that band was starting. I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. Like, yeah, let's go, And then I ended up kind of getting with the Invincible Czars and doing
Right.
a few, co-writing with them and touring with them for a few years. COVID, all these things, and but back in, like, let's say 2017 or something, we were talking about a good Rogering, and it had been stagnant, right? There was a lull. There was a time after my brother got married and moved, and we didn't have a drummer, and it was like 3 years we didn't play, right, or something. And nothing was really happening. And then the band started back up, and here we are. And now, right now, dude, A Good Rogering has the best roster it's ever had. Like,
Nice.
so Rom, shout out to all these guys, Tim Driscoll on guitar and backing vocals. Blaine Mott, the original bass player, is back on bass from Quarter Shackle, the original bassist of Good Rogering. Rom Gov, the amazing Rom Gov on drums. And Adam Kirby, who's doing now keyboards, vocals, and I mean, everyone in this band is absolutely stellar and seasoned, stellar musicians. So it's awesome, man. And but it took a long time to get there. There's been a lot of iterations of the band. There's been good and bad with each, maybe, right? But but like I said, because of that, I think there's a lot of different flavors on the albums, and I think that's an actual cool thing. And I always love featuring guest musicians and this and that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. There was a point though where this guy, I remember him saying something about referring to A Good Rogering as a legacy band, and I'm like, I guess does that just mean we've been around forever, and are we throwing in the towel? I don't know. I don't really know what that means, but I do know we've been around for a quick minute now. So yeah, I mean, if there's a legacy to be had, I hope we have one. I hope that the music exists after the fact, and that people will discover it for years to come and connect with it, because I think there is something there. It's honest, and I think that's what's important. It's all I care about in art is honesty. I don't care about anything else. Yes, I want it to be produced good and sound good, and there's taste, personal taste. But at the end of the day, like a lot of stuff, I respect it if it's coming from the right place and it's has artistic merit. I don't respect things that are commercially contrived. I don't respect AI at all.
No,
I don't respect any of that shit that is just created for commercial. I understand the business. I get it.
It's gonna kill film.
I hate when people call it art. I hate it. So having said all that, there's a lot of pop music I love. There's pop stars that I consider artists. It's not like I'm not one of those guys or anything. I love a lot of modern music too, but there's something intangible both in performance and on record that and recording that I think that comes from a true place of a human soul, and there's contrived shit. And I'm all about art. So I hope that's the legacy that I leave as an artist.
Yeah.
And as a teacher and as art. And I think that's whether anybody, whether 5 people or 5 million people hear the shit at the end of the day, that's the legacy I'll leave, So.
Well, you're blazing the trail, my friend. And we've kept you long enough.
Yeah,
this is the official close. We'll talk to you in a minute. We've kept you long enough, and Aaron Christopher Wright, a.k.a. Skunk Manhattan.
American Civil War.
We appreciate you coming on.
Ironic. Feels like we're in part 2 of that shit.
I appreciate you coming on the show, man, and I will definitely let you know when it's going to drop, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, brother. Great talking with you. Appreciate it.
Rock and roll, rock and roll. Green Chili Cheeseman is a production of DB Media Entertainment, LLC. If you're digging the story, give us a like, or pass us to your friends the way you used to pass the J. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, pretty much anywhere you listen to the pods. Thanks for riding with us, supporting these voices, and keeping the cheese man alive. We'll see you next time.